What were your thoughts on the fact that there's different templates? So before in Alpha 1, we saw a very flat village, but obviously in this update, there was that plateaued version. What are your thoughts on that?
You can go first, Vertec.
Like the multi-level village instead of it all being flat?
Yeah, like they have different types of like the multi-village elevations. Thank you. Like they have different things like that are like quote unquote generated for the node to generate on, besides always being the same.
I like it. Honestly, it's going to add some variance. It's going to add a little bit of, I mean, I hesitate to say realism, but at least like reality-like components to the fact that there will be towns and stuff built on multiple levels because that's just where you settled. And somebody was like, I'm going to build my house up on the hill. And so they did. And then a couple years later, they sold their house, got a different one, and somebody turned it into a barn and built a bigger house next to it, and so on and so forth. It's going to reflect more of just how things feel. It's going to feel more organic. That's more the word. It's going to feel more organic rather than just the land gets flattened, buildings go here, trees grow.
Very procedural, in that way. Yes. But I think, again, it just adds an extra layer of immersion and depth. And again, elevation is going to play another factor into, PvP. I would say the node system and how it's going to expand is really going to blow people away. The thing I wanted to see was the transition. I wanted to see wilderness at stage 0 go to stage 1.
Yeah.
I wanted to see stage 1 then go to stage 2. I wanted to see stage 2 go to stage 3. Because they did that in Alpha 1, but it was just instant pop. Like if you were standing like where a barrel was supposed to be at stage 1, then you were inside the barrel until you just jumped out of it. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Yeah. And so I'm really curious how they're going to handle the transition of the node leveling. Like, because I like the idea of whenever you saw the building that they were doing leveling or kind of being built, like in the whole animation they had. I think from 0 to 1, I wouldn't mind an instant poof, because there's nothing there.
Right.
But I think from stage 1 to 2, I kind of wish that like as the node is being increased in experience, there's certain like you can see like built like additions or like wood being like getting bigger, getting longer, you know what I mean? Like I don't know how taxing that's going to be on the server to technically do that, but I would also be fine if they just, from stage 1 to 2, they give you like a 2-minute warning if you're in the node to finish what you're doing because you're going to be teleported right outside of it.
Right.
Because we're going to give you guys like in the area like a small little cutscene that goes from stage 1 to stage 2.
I like that. That would be a really cool idea because then you can have like the little cutscene for everybody who's in that exact node area.
Right.
I also kind of like the idea because they already do it with the buildings, right? So they put the beginning cinder blocks and all these, like they have the rope around that the section that we saw in the video. Right. And so it gives you that idea of like, hey, this is cordoned off and something is happening here. So I think it would be kind of cool as you're leveling through the node at like a quarter of the way through the level, you kind of start seeing something starting to get piled up in the corner. And then halfway through the node, you're starting to see like cordoning off of like the new boundary and like clearing out that space, perhaps.
Absolutely. Like, and again, I think that if they were to do it like a seamless transition, the kind of tech they would have to implement to make it feel seamless would be kind of ridiculous. It would be the first of its kind. And I think that's asking way too much of Intrepid to do.
Yeah.
But I think
I think.
Or go ahead.
I think Steven had mentioned before that there was going to be somewhat of a construction effect, at least towards the end of it, like when it's almost getting ready to pop over.
The level.
Like you're going to start seeing construction workers come in and extra caravans coming in from nowhere and such like that. But I kind of like the idea of there also being a little bit of a cutscene to those who are in town. So it can give them the chance to get ported out. And then also during that cutscene, they're not able to take any actions. So the game can gracefully shut down any interactions they're having with NPCs.
Exactly. Because imagine being
in
in a
you're in the
player
middle
stall.
of selling stuff. Yeah, that too.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Uh-huh.
And then you're just like, what happened? Like, I just got ported out without not even me knowing. And
yeah, who knows? Because that's how dupes come into play with a lot of games, is like playing around with the like selling and buying transactions and doing it in certain ways and like quitting the game in the middle of it and all that. So to avoid some bugs, it'd be nice if it could gracefully shut all that down and close the transaction by reversing everything that's been done so far. And
I just basically think, because I'm a WoW Andy, I think of WoW. And whenever Warlords of Draenor, the expansion was out and they had garrisons, there were different levels of garrisons. So you had your base garrison, which is kind of like wilderness, and then you went to stage 1. And when you went to stage 1, it just basically took you right to a cutscene, and then it would do the whole transition of like, this is your garrison, and then you were literally teleported right outside of it. And that happened in every single time you leveled, so from tier 2 and also tier 3. And I don't mind that, and I think again it'd be really cool if like there were a lot of people in the node, and then you're just like, you see a whole group of people and we're all going into this brand new node together, and we're like, whoa, like this building's over here now and this building looks huge. Like, I think that's like a very Pog moment whenever you finally got to like stage 4 or stage 5 and everybody is together that was inside the node, and we all get to experience. It's like running into Disneyland right when it opens, right? Like everyone's excited, everyone's seeing the different layouts, the different things that are all happening around it. That's really cool. You know what I mean? Right. So it doesn't have to be a seamless transition. I think that would also be a very realistic like expectation. It's like, hey, we just hit 100%. You see the construction, the caravans go out. There's like a 5-minute or like a 2-minute warning, basically. And then once you see that timer go to 0, you're basically in a cutscene. And then once that cutscene finishes, you're right outside the node with everyone else.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say that I predict if that's the way it goes, there are going to be countless streamers joking about, I can see my house from here. Countless jokes. Countless times that's going to be stated.